Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who action figure review. In today's review, I'm taking a look at the latest Character Options online exclusive release, which is the Doctor Who Warriors of the Deep set, featuring the complete Silurian Triad of Iktar, Tarpok and Scibus. So I imagine this set has come as something of a surprise to everybody, because these are figures that we basically never thought we would ever see, and they look absolutely fantastic. And the 80s has been an era that fans have wanted more figures from, and it's great to finally have a classic monster such as the Silurians finally enter the collection and fill in some of those 80s era blanks. So before we begin, as ever, let's take a look at the packaging. The figures come packaged in the standard window box featuring the new series style guide. We've got the new series stacked logo, the greyed out TARDIS, a little gold box out saying that this is an online exclusive, and of course the title of the story, Warriors of the Deep from 1984. On the sides and the back of the box we get a look at the figures inside, as well as a synopsis about the story, some background information on the Silurians, and some behind the scenes information about Warriors of the Deep itself. As ever, we have the usual interior display backdrop. Thankfully, with this release, the packaging has been designed in such a way that the plastic bubble can be easily removed without damaging any of the interior diorama. And by removing that, we get to have a look at what exactly is going on inside. So you can see it's the interior of the Silurian's little submarine. You've got some of the columns around the back there, little archways. And then you have the central front piece of the submarine with these like eye-hole viewfinder parts cut out, just like on the real thing, and you can see the sea base underneath with all this targeting computer information, and it looks really, really cool. And I imagine if you wanted to, you could remove the viewfinder piece, should you wish, and to get a better look at what's going on inside. But this is fantastic. Like I said, it works for a great display piece with your figures. And then out of the box, the Silurians themselves look amazing. Absolutely fantastic. These are some figures that I certainly have wanted for a very long time, so I was thrilled when I found out that these were going to be made, and amazed because there's so much new tooling going on here, as well as some clever part reuse, as we've seen with recent Doctor Who figures in the line. And it is basically the same figure packaged 3 times. There is a slight difference on one of them, which I'll go into in a minute. So looking at the head sculpt, absolutely phenomenal. They have done such an amazing job with these sculpts. There is so much going on there in terms of the texture, with the scales. It looks absolutely fantastic. A perfect translation of the original latex masks into plastic form. And all of this detail carries on around to the back. You've got these spines going along the back of the head, and all of the scales around the backs of the ears, all across the neck. It really is absolutely superb. They have done such an incredible job with them. In terms of like the paint apps for the head, there's a lot going on here too. There's all these dark and light washes. There's darker washes on the top. You can see around the cheeks and the forehead section. You've got a bit of a lighter wash there just going over the top. It really just brings out so much of the detail, especially that dark wash. It really gets into all of the scales and all of the nooks and crannies of the sculpt and really shows it off. The eyes have been painted in gold with a black reptilian pupil. So this one has a red eye. So in the program, these were used to indicate which Silurian was speaking. The other 2 Silurians, however, have black eyes, just to show that the lights aren't on, which is a really cool way of differentiating the 3 Silurians. And of course, stuff like the light and the dark washes also vary between the 3 figures. So from the head, we then move down to the body. So again, the torso is a completely new piece. It's a hard, hollow plastic, and that forms the shell of the Silurian. Again, around the back, we've got these spines, almost Stegosaurus-like in nature. That's a separate piece that's been stuck into the main hard plastic of the torso. They're sort of a rubbery PVC piece. Again, it's a great sculpt. You can see all the ridges at the front, and then round to the back, you've got these 2 smaller ridges on either sides of the spine. And once more, we've got a lovely wash over the top. There's this white wash all over it, just to give some texture to the shell, which works incredibly well. And then we move over to the arms. Now, the arms are interesting because the arms are slightly reused, because the bicep parts are actually taken from the 1970s Sea Devil, the figure that came out way back in 2008 in the first wave of classic figures. So this is some very clever part reuse. You probably wouldn't notice. I certainly wouldn't have noticed unless I'd been told. And it's really well done, because then we move down to the forearms and we have brand new tooling pieces. The forearms are different. They've sort of morphed into the scales that we see elsewhere on the Silurian's head and neck, and it works incredibly well, that transition between the different types of scales. The two forearms are slightly different on either arm, so like I said, you've got the scales, and again, all of the same dark washes to really get into the details here. And they've even got stuff like around the elbow joints, you've got the creases of the outfit, so it's like creases of the skin, which, you know, certain lizards like bearded dragons and stuff do have a lot of creased flesh, but of course we know that that's actually just the creases of the suit, which is great. It's a really, really cool little nod to the fact that it's a bloke in a costume. And then on the right forearm, they have sculpted on the little device with the two little screens, again, taken directly from the episodes. Very well rendered. You've got a grey base colour with this light wash over the top, which really brings out the texture of the sculpt, and then the couple of green screens, and that's the same on every single Silurian. And the hands are also new sculpts. We've got one sort of pointing finger, which looks great. You can see the fingers have got like suckers on the end, almost kind of Zygon-like. And you can see that the way that the gloves that the actors are wearing work is that the little finger and the other finger next to it are all in one piece of the glove, so it gives the Silurians like 4 fingers, which is cool. It gives them an extra added alien quality, which is great. And then moving down to the legs, again, here we have some part reuse from the Sea Devils. So the crotch, the thighs, all of the legs, all taken from the Sea Devils. The only new parts are the feet. So the Sea Devil legs, again, you know, they've got a different texture. They're not the same scaly texture as the Silurians, but like I said, with all the washes and things, you really wouldn't notice that compared to what we see on screen. And then what they've done is they've given us new feet, which are these, I'm not quite sure how these feet work on the Silurians. They're sort of shell-like at the front, but they've got sort of fleshy bits on the top. Is a bit weird, but that is how they look in the program. So in terms of articulation, the Silurians are all the same figure, so we'll just take one and have a look at what we've got going on here. So head-wise, the head sort of basically wobbles a little bit, but it's not really articulated. And that's not a problem because the heads in the program weren't articulated. They were solid rubber masks. Then because we're using the Sea Devil body, we've got the ball-jointed shoulders, so they can swivel out to the sides and do 360s. We do not have a bicep joint, which is a bit of a shame, but again, this is due to the Sea Devil reuse, and I'll explain why it's a shame in a moment. We've got articulation at the elbow, pivoting back and forth, and articulation at the wrists, so they can swivel all the way around. So the reason why I said it's a shame that we don't have the bicep articulation is because the Silurians have these rather snazzy wrist devices, and they also have a pointy finger. And I thought it would have been really cool if you could have had the Silurian posed like that, going beep, boop, beep, with the little wrist device. I'm struggling here to do it, but I mean, you can bend the arm like that, but you don't want to snap the arm. Then moving down to the waist, we have articulation here. It's hindered because of this massive shell piece, but you can get a little bit of movement out of it. The hips can move forward and backwards and out to the sides. And we have articulation at the thigh, so they can rotate 360 degrees as well. Articulation at the knee, pivoting back and forth, and then articulation at the ankles, allowing the feet to swivel 360 degrees as well. So basically we have all of the articulation that you've come to expect from a classic series figure, minus the bicep articulation. Overall, what an absolutely phenomenal figure. I think character have really outdone themselves in terms of the sculpting. The head is just absolutely incredible. You know, I just have to let the pictures speak for themselves, really, because there's just so much going on here. The holes, the vents, or whatever you call them in the head look fantastic. It has that same sort of quirky, almost goofy-looking, grinning mouth that those Silurians had. They just look absolutely brilliant, and, you know, they look fantastic on the shelf alongside all of the other Peter Davison-era figures. I know some people might think, oh, well, you know, it's just the same figure 3 times, but honestly, if it means that's how we can get such an incredible figure as this, who cares? This is absolutely superb. I am so pleased to see them in the line. And it just absolutely blows my mind how clever they can be with the part reuse with these figures. So thank you ever so much for watching, guys. Like I said, this is a Character Online exclusive, so you should be able to pre-order it and get hold of it with ease. It shouldn't be like a B&M job. I highly recommend doing so. And who knows, with the part reuse here with these guys, maybe we could see some 70s Silurians using the Sea Devil bodies? Who knows? I could see maybe the same sort of tricks being used again to get some 70s Silurians out, which I would absolutely love. That is be perfect. Those are one of the monsters that I desperately want, some 70s Silurians. So come on, we've had the 80s ones, now let's move on to some 70s ones. So once again, thank you ever so much for watching. I hope this review has been insightful. I hope you've enjoyed it. And once again, thank you to Character for sending over an early sample of these figures for me to review. Enjoy the Silurians when they arrive in the post. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all soon for some more Doctor Who action figure reviews. Bye-bye.